Hello. Okay, here we are. So, last week, a little over last week, a little more than last week, I think, I posted a ton of polls. I posted them on 3 different media, or one on Twitter, one on Facebook, and one on Google+. And I pretty much asked all the main questions that you would have out of my, when you do the initial Key Society prep for Free Spacer. And I did this for the upcoming Terminal City Tabletop Convention. I'm running the RPG room there, and it's the first year we have an RPG room, so it's going to be pretty awesome. We have like 10 tables and tons of games all set up, and I'm going to run my game, of course, and that's going to be pretty awesome. So, yeah. I posted a bunch of questions about these, and I asked people what they thought, and well, here are the results. So we're going to be basically putting these in based on the book, based on what you go through when you make up a game with regular people. Just in this case, the people who made the decisions are on the internet. Yay! Cool. So you can see the first one here, but let's pop over book. So this section in the book is called Game Prep. But you start this main questions for all the Key Society in what we call commissioning. So you kind of go through this, and the first group is Old Gold, and that's like pretty much the people who were in charge of the quadrant back during the Golden Age before the wars. And so the first question I didn't actually ask because it's just a time limit event, and so I thought it would be better to skip this one. It made them all even numbers, and so I'll probably just answer this one on my own, unless someone wants to give me feedback on which one they think is the most interesting. I'll probably just roll. I don't know, I rolled 20 open today, so I'm going to use dice. Let's see what we get. It's gonna be loud. Okay. We got sudden incursion of aliens beyond the rim. Okay, so that, as we're seeing it right here, goes on part of the timeline. So one of the things you start with when you do this is you put things on the timeline, and then you make summaries of these different societies. And these are the background societies that kind of determine how all the factions are kind of related to each other and that sort of thing, and the cultures and stuff that pervade the galactic community. So we'll start that with this. We'll put... let's... okay, so... click on it. Okay, so we'll just write in an event. This is strange aliens appeared from beyond the rim. Okay. And I guess I was doing something weird before, because now that's in some cringe lighting with underlines and all sorts of effects, which I need to turn off. Let's just turn that off. Okay, there we go. Strange aliens appear from beyond the rim. Font's too big. Let's go a lot faster once we get all this together. There. Good. And we just kind of put that up at the top, and that happened between 1900 and 1200 years ago. So I'm just going to place it there. You can draw little lines. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't, depending on how important it is and whether or not I want to do that. So the first question that I asked everyone was, what was the origin of Old Gold? Where did they come from? Now I got to ask this entire question because there's only there's 4 big choices you get to make, and this basically chooses which quadrant they're from. Are they locals? Are they from another quadrant? There's 3 other quadrants. One that's kind of a military style one, which is kind of a noble one, and another one is kind of a scientific one. So we get to decide who the founders are. And this is 1100 years before the compact. So what was the first answer? Let's look at this. Okay. Everyone liked the noble house from the nobilis duchies. So let's just record that down. So under founders, we're going to put. So often, if you had a good idea, you'd put that you'd put in a concept, but we'll write that afterwards because we're letting luck and the internet decide these things. Good times. So homegrown. No, we're going with a noble house from the that does not look like I spelled it correctly. Oh, I got an extra O in there. That's supposed to be an L, and it is nobility. Yes. Terrible speller when I'm in a rush. Okay, let's just put that right there. So we know that Old Gold is a noble house from a distant quadrant. I came here and decided to run things. Okay, so the next question is, oh, we're supposed to put a noble house, and then I split this into 2 lines on this sheet. Let's just do this properly then. I'm used to using Roll20, where you have to use the same different tools for everything. Okay, so and then we're just writing nobilis. Let's just put nobilis quadrant in here. So this determines what language they speak to. I didn't ask everybody about that, but we can put that in. Okay, boom. What language is that? That makes it. So in the book, it describes several prevalent languages, and there's one for each quadrant. This kind of goes with the idea that that being in proximity to each other and then having the galactic community boil up creates kind of this odd concurrence where languages are kind of strangely related to each other across the entire quadrant. So that language is in X for the nobilis quadrant, which means that Old Gold, who once ruled this area, primary prevalent language is in X. Cool. So the next question I asked, so that's the first one, is this one. Okay. So how did they consolidate their power? So they're really powerful. They consolidated their power across the galaxy. How did they do that? Well, everyone chose economic integration, which is interesting. They created an economic powerhouse. So yeah, let's write that down. So they were an economic power. They just came out and they knew how to do everything, and they started trying to interconnect people with trade and that sort of thing. Cool. So pretty much they just bowled over all their opposition just by having superior logistics. They were just everywhere. They could do all the trading, all that super stuff. Okay, so the next one is, we didn't put this one in either. It's an event for the timeline. I tried to avoid some of the timeline events because it's less interesting for an online survey. But this is 800 to 600 years before the compact. And you can see so right around here, we're going to be putting in one of these. So did they have an expo that that talked about their virtues of science, or their festival? So we're just going to roll, because I think this could be random. It's interesting. 62. They have a circus. Interesting. So we're going to put right around here the Grand Circus Galactic. So we know there was they did this amazing circus where they brought animals or something from all over the galaxy and the peoples, that sort of thing. That's exciting. Okay, so the next question we actually asked was what the corruption of old gold was. So everybody nowadays would totally be like, oh, they had to fall. They had some sort of ancient corruption, so on and so forth, right? They always talk about that whenever that sort of thing happens. So that one we've answered. She wouldn't go forward. And economic inequality. That goes right along. That's right on brand. So we had a few more choices, but they didn't all fit into you only have a certain number of choices on the Facebook poll system. So I gave them one as they did, and so we have economic inequality. So we have a group who's really good at logistics and needs to just go take advantage of everyone. That sounds really interesting. We got like a Hudson Bay Company kind of group, or some sort of other sort of, group who goes out there and starts using trade to dominate. Okay, and there was a trigger for the wars. Okay, so, oh wow, this one was close. Exposed spies. Interesting. So what we're choosing here is there's a diplomatic incident that we have to record, and we write in the trigger as exposed spies. Okay, so we also get to put in the diplomatic incident. When do we put that in there? Okay. 500 years. This is the trigger for the war. We're going to put it right here, and we're just going to put in there Gulf spies found infiltrating. So which society? Lateral society? We don't know yet. Let's write this more like a scandal. Well, how should that be written? Something like scandal rocks. Old gold spy turns. Old gold spy confesses to manipulation. Okay.
Okay, so next is who's a post-war descendant of them. What are they like? These are the people we're dealing with now. What descended from Old Gold? So where are they? What are they at? So okay, they have deteriorated into a rim society. Oh, okay, they are down and out. So we're going to record that they are deteriorated right here, and that their dominion is rim. So pretty much they were driven out of the core by the end of the war, and they're now out on the rim, out in the boondocks, beyond the powerful provinces that compete with whoever the Cardinal Society is now. That's the society and runs the quadrant officially. They're way out on the rim, so they did not do well after the end of the war. Okay, so that's that. The other question we asked is what sort of government they have, and they're still Great House, so people chose anocracy. Okay, let's copy this. And that's it. That's what you would get from the players. Maybe some concepts. And you'd fill those in there. And then the rest of the stuff comes during the prep section that I mentioned earlier. And that is all. So we are going to move on to Soul Society, which I did this one on Twitter. I set tighter deadlines, kind of to see how that would work, and because I didn't realize how short that would feel. And so, well, let's see what we got. So, as we can see, if you go back to the book, we go back to Soul. This time the first thing is about solidarity. So, they chose, as you probably saw a second ago, unified soul. So, we have a soul system that is completely unified. However that happened, soul is unified, and everybody is part of the same nation. Nice. So they developed a fold technology. Well, we're going with independent R&D. That was very popular for some reason. Nobody liked the alien sponsorships, and there's only a couple like the other two. So yeah, independent discovery. Okay. Okay, let's put that in there. And then once we're done this, we're going to actually go through and we're going to add the extra details at the end. Let's just put it like that. Okay, so next is pre-war concept, or pre-war, we have some stuff emergence and such, we can roll that. So, we have to write an event about emergence. So this is another one of those timeline events. So this is 50 years after development. So we're supposed to decide what when the development is. So we're going to record that in here. And this is between 600 and 500 years before the compact. So let's put it in here. Soul scientists develop fold technology. There we go.
Okay, so that's in there, and then the next thing we need is it's 50 years after that. So we're gonna move this down. And then we're gonna put right in here soul begins exploring the stars. Okay, so putting that in there. Okay, so the next question I asked was about the first contact. And this, the reason I had to put emergence down is this depends a lot on whether or not you developed it yourself. So this was a tie. So we have a viewer. Do they want to help choose? Do we like tense meeting, soul colonizes alien world, or invasion by alien forces? Which do you like better? Let's ask. Let's see, can you answer? Well, for some reason, okay, invasion by alien forces it is. So Sol was actually invaded. That's interesting. Let's look at how this is done in the book. So invasion. Okay, so write an event, first contact, add it to your timeline, 100 years to your timeline, 100 years of emergence. If contact was before emergence, record it in a timeline before development. Otherwise, record it after. You did choose conflict. Yes, indeed. Okay, so one, I've got to fix some of the text in this, and two, we're going to put that right in here. I think old gold invaded them. I think that was the first straw. Okay. I'm gonna move that. Let's move this one. This is why I don't put in my lines right away, because this always happens. It's a common thing when you work at timelines. That's why they have all those cool timeline tools. So next is pre-war soul. Who started the war? So according to this, they are the ally of the instigator. So we shall put in wartime role ally. Okay, so we'll see if they all line up. This leads to a bit of a discussion during the game. And we don't know if the lateral will also be an ally or something, so we'll find out. Okay, so what is their dominion now? This is one of the last questions. They're also an Outer Rim society? Well, I guess our game's going to be out on the Rim. Everybody's very interested in these Rim societies. So their dominion is Rim. Okay, so they're out on the Rim, and I don't know who's in charge of anything anymore, but and they have a military role. They're stratocracy.
so Earth has become... Maybe Earth is way out on the rim anyways. Oh, hey. Don't know what happened there. There. So they have a military-style government, all that sort of stuff. There we go. So those are the questions we asked, and those were our answers. Okay. So finally, we're down to Google+. So conventions. Let's start at the bottom. Okay, so this is a Google Plus community. You totally can join. And we get to decide, find out about the Lateral Society now. Former... Okay, so Lateral Society starts with their pre-war origin. Now, this is not in order for some reason. Okay, so they are sleeper ships from within the quadrant. Okay, so sleeper ships. So that goes under founders. See, we don't ask this question with Soul Society. We ask it with the other two because we don't know what those are. We know where Soul came from, Earth. Gotta have Earthlings as a thing. Gotta have humans of some sort in your science fiction. Otherwise, we just don't know where we started. Want to know what happened to humans, right? Okay, so the next thing is how... If they are sleeper ships, that means their origin is the Orion Quadrant. And their language is going to be interchat. That's what we call the local language. I should change the default on this to say Orion Quadrant. I like it better. And this is interchat. Interchat's a big combination language. All languages in the quadrant have all kind of come together. Kind of like the name. It's fun. Okay, so the next one is how they developed their technology. Okay, so for some reason that one's underneath this. No idea. Salvage of alien starship. They found an old gold or maybe soul ship and discovered it. So let's record that in here. Salvage. Okay. I think I'm going to actually specify in here. Why not? They discovered a soul starship in space and salvaged it and discovered alien technology. So we're going to be putting this in between 800 and 400 years before. Okay, so let's we need to move this confession down because we need room for that. Definitely need to draw lines now, so I have that. And this will be there, and yeah. So timeline is really fun. It kind of gives this big kind of understanding of this. It takes a little bumping around when you first do it because things tend to crowd together a certain amount. Discovers Soul Starship. Yeah, it takes up too much room. With a CK, not A. Okay, cool. Okay, what's next? Emergence. Okay, so we yet again need to move it down. So we're putting lateral. Begin exploration. Okay. So, there we go. What is the next answer? Okay, so the next one is about first contact. So what does their first contact look like? Another invasion. Wow. Okay. Cool. So, we got a second invasion. This looks like an old gold has a bit of a pattern, doesn't it? Yeah. I'll move these around later. So old gold is invading Soul Colony, and then they're doing a lateral colony. Okay, so. Okay, what is next? So what was their role during the war? So it looks like they are a neutral power who avoided direct conflict. That is interesting. So they were neutral. And okay. And now, what has happened since then? We need to know what their dominion is. Well, what do people answer? Oh, it's 50-50. Didn't have a lot of votes. So I'm going to make them the ruling Cardinal Society because it makes no sense that we don't have one. So they stayed neutral and won the war because they just stayed neutral. Okay, that's kind of cool. Their dominion is Cardinal power. Cardinal. Okay, cool. So they stay in charge. So pretty much when the Cardinal Compact was offered, they weren't really that involved in the war, so they just scooped it right away and took over from Old Gold. Okay, finally, let's find out what their what type of government do they have? So what do we think? We like cybernet synergy, which is basically ruled by the internet, or a tribal system? Which do we like better? Any votes? Okay, Let's go spacey. Let's go with cyber synergy. Tribals would be really cool, but I kind of like that idea. So I'm just gonna vote that. That's like that. Okay, cool. There we go. So they have an online government system now, and they're ruled by that. So that is all the questions. Thanks for everybody who voted, and everybody was here. We're gonna move to turn this stuff off and move directly to the rest of prep. So after you get this out of them, hopefully some concepts from your players as part of character creation, or commissioning as we call it, then you would move into game preparation. And in game preparation, you get the society section. And this is good if you need to create others. Like, so you decide that you need a province as well. You take another page, slightly different than this one, and you'd fill out the basic information right in here. We're probably not going to do that. I find 3 is plenty, but I'm sure some players and GMs and stuff will want more. So we're going to basically go through and fill out the extra stuff. So one of the first things you're supposed to do is come up with a concept and that sort of thing. So let's figure out concepts that work with these. So they are a house. Let's go back to Old Gold and figure out what they're... So they're still they were a house, they're still a house, and all this information in here: spies, economic domination, invasion. Yeah, so they're like a house of they're simulating me a lot like the Hudson Bay Company, except a noble house. So imagine if like one of the noble houses that ruled like Venice or something came in and started doing all the New World kind of stuff. So we're going to kind of treat them like that. So we're going to make the pre-war composite, I think, ambitious colonial noble house. Doesn't have to be complex. So there we go. And I need to spell ambitious correctly. I am a terrible speller. There we go. I can usually tell things spell wrong though. And they're post-war, so they are kind of pushed to the outside. Just they're kind of like a sad formal house pushed out into the rim. So what does that look like? Yeah, let's look at that. What is that concept? Nostalgic outcasts. That's a decent... That does not look like it's spelled correctly either. That's a decent concept. So I'm thinking they're all nostalgic, thinking about old times. Nostalgic outcasts, former aristocrats. Former aristocrats. Okay.
Okay, so we have that. Okay, so and we know what they're. So we need to come up with a name for them. Let's kind of double down on the whole Venice thing. What do we want to call them? Let's just call them House Trajan. What do you think? Does that sound okay? House Trajan. And let's make that bold and maybe that's slightly bigger. There. House Trajan. Okay, cool. So, the next thing we're determining is stuff about their dominion. Because they're a rimworld society, they get 5 to 10 systems with gaps and stuff in them. So we just need to determine a color, and we put a color up in here. Okay, so I think red looks nice for them. And let me find if I have some sort of... I need another layer. Okay, so let's... Oh, that's way too small. We need a much bigger brush. A little bit bigger. I want 1 dot per for the bigger map. Okay, so we're going with red. Okay, let's move here. So we're gonna put them out on the rim. They have to be out on the rim here, and they get tons of gaps. And we're gonna decide where that their capital is. Has to be out on the rim, but they can kind of move in. So we just decide we're gonna do 5 to 10 of them, and we're gonna put a symbol in there. And we just kind of and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. There. That's pretty cool. And we will put a T for House Trajan on it. Do a lowercase t. We'll copy that and put 1. I think there's going to be where it is. Let's make that teal a little bit smaller because it's brushing the edges. There we go. Cool. So now we know where they are. We know that. So we fill in the rest of the stuff. Cool. Okay, so next things we need to know is what does government mean? So we just fill this in. This is kind of like a reminder. Anocracy is houses. So noble houses rule each does each thing within the society. So they'll have a house for war, and they'll have a house for production of consumer goods, and then they'll have that sort of thing. So instead of organizing things where, like in our society, where there's state-run like departments, and then there's corporations that do all these different things. In this society, everything's done by a house. So there'd be powerful houses that are considered part of like the core government. There's more periphery houses that are more like economically based, probably, and not as much as part of the core government itself. And so the people, the citizens of this society, as we have written here, are considered peerage and the people. People are low members of houses that are like workers or something, and peerage are people who have membership or importance in the individual houses. Okay, and then finally we need to figure out what their driving ambition is. So we have some choices here. We have, are they trying to advance their knowledge, bolster their prestige, expand their influence, gain cardinal power, hold power, they don't have a lot to begin with, increase their wealth, restore the home system, or expand their territory? They are pretty economical. I am thinking that they should probably want to increase their wealth. That makes sense, right? That they got to where they were before by economic integration. As soon as they started invading people and doing things a little more abruptly, they kind of got spanked. So I am going to go with that. They are all about the money. They want to gain more wealth so that they can be what they once were. Okay, so their ambition is to increase wealth. And so the various factions of this group will likely be like houses with economic ideals and power and that sort of thing. So next is demographics. Now this is interesting because it kind of determines how many dominant species there are and how many minor species there are. So this ranges from a hegemony, where there's a single dominant society, all the way down to cosmopolitan, where there are 5 or more dominant societies and no minor. So we have hegemonies that are going to have 1 dominant and like 4 greater minor. So yes. I kind of like the idea that there's a hegemony. I mean, they were kind of dominating their entire history. Everything we recorded is pretty like that. But, I mean, they could also be imperious, where there's like 2 species that are, you know, kind of in cahoots on this front. Like, maybe they scooped one up during it. I'm going to go with the more obvious one, I think. So let's go with hegemony. Okay, so just gonna put that down there. So that means when we create some species next time, we'll be recording them all in here. And so they'll have 1 dominant one. We'll have to decide which species that is. And that's the species that perhaps originally started the old gold society. So that's it. That is a society. And this is the beginning of the timeline. We're going to do the same thing for the Soul Society and the Lateral Society. And just kind of making sense of all of this. So we'll go back up on this page to the top of societies and start looking at the concept for the Soul Society. So they're unified. And they're now a military society, so that must have happened somehow. But that's not necessarily, it doesn't matter for the for the pre-war. So so Earth, Earth united to explore the galaxy. There we go. That is the pre-war. So we got a united Earth exploring the galaxy. And then what's our post-war concept? So the main thing we have is that they were an ally of whoever started the war, which we don't have anyone for yet. So this might be a point where we want to create. We might want to create another society on a second sheet, just to make who started this war. Like, are they gone? We can make them spacers or something. So we might add that. But they are now strong, militarized Earth. So, what are we going to want to call that? I guess just strong, militarized. Earth. I mean, I just called it that, so let's just put that down. These are just for ideas. It's a concept. It doesn't have to sound super good. I always try to make it sound good. That's kind of my thing. Okay, so let's learn a bit about stratocracies. Okay, so a stratocracy is ruled by generals, and all the citizens or officers, NCOs, and the enlisted. Interesting. So if we look at my write-up on that, it's a military government. Society rules by generals and admirals, each responsible for an aspect of the state. They form a military council, appointing one of their number as head of state, granting rank of sovereign marshal, general, or admiral. Citizens are all treated as military members of the military, with a role or profession granting rank. Officers are important citizens with leadership roles, while non-commissioned officers are ordinary citizens with regular jobs. So you're talking, you have a rank that denotes that you're in charge of a corner store. You have a rank that determines that you're a web developer. You're a web developer corporal second class or something. A web corporal, perhaps. So we can fill in these blanks pretty easy, and we'll have to think, like, we need a good, cool name. Like, it seems to be like a society, maybe they're kind of about honor or something. I had to have a name that I used before. It'd probably really fit this really well. But let's fill this in first. Okay, so the generals are the government, and the citizens are officers, NCOs, enlisted officers. So Earth has changed. The military's taken over. Okay, so I kind of want to name it. I think I might go with the old name, because the old name was really good. Okay, and that old name is Oath Alliance. Okay, so we're gonna bold that the same way. Okay, there we go. Oath Alliance. So, next on our list of things is their ambition. So the thing we didn't determine yet was based on their dominion. They're out on the rim as well. We need to determine where they are, so we need another color.
We could go with earth green or earth blue. And let's create another layer. Okay, so what do we think of this color? Is that too dark? Okay, so I think they definitely should be. Let's have them over here. They're definitely going to be growing this direction. I want them to run one right here. And then I'll put them in conflict. 1, 2, 3, 6. So there we are. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So they have the system right, managed to have the system right next door to this other one. So we'll give them a, can't give them an O, let's give them an A as a symbol so that we can okay, let's make that a little bit smaller. A copy. Let's just make that. That's there we go. Okay, so we now know where they are as well. We're probably going to base the game around here somewhere. Okay, what have we not finished yet on the Oath Alliance stuff? Ambition. Well, they seem pretty militaristic, so I think ambition would be pretty easy. 1 second. Sorry about that. Of course, in the middle of everything, I get a call from the cable company of all people. Yay. You can't tell who it's from. Okay, what is their ambition? That's what we were looking for. Hold power, bolster privilege, prestige, advance knowledge, expand influence. Yeah, let's go with expand influence. They want to spread. Wow, we made Earth pretty hardcore, man. Okay, it's not bold. Okay. Okay, demographics. Okay, what does Soul's demographics look like? This is a very military-based system. I don't know, it might be too lame to make it all like that. Let's just make it biased. Biased means there's 3 dominant species and the rest are minor species. So they're not super equal, but they're not imperious or anything. So there we go. So one left to do, lateral society. So same process again. Let's figure out who these people are. Okay, so do you want to do their dominion first or their concepts. Let's do their concepts. Okay, so they're an interesting one. They're kind of neutral and to the side. They're alien society. What is their thing? I think they seem a bit sciencey with their internet government now. Let's call them wide. Let's call them peaceful explorers. So that's what they're like before the war. They're peaceful explorers, but now they're in charge of everything. So what is our current concept? They move from peaceful explorers into strained Federation. Yeah, is that a good concept? It's okay. Let's just. I think I get the idea. The idea is that they're like this. The cardinal power of this sector is quite peaceful, and they used to be these peaceful explorers, but now they have to be in charge of everything. They're strained and stressed, and they have to control everything simultaneously, and it's not really they're in their billy walk. Okay, so. Let's look at the government types and quickly choose or record down administrators. So the idea of this is that government, it'd be a lot like the way the web is controlled, right? You go to a forum and there's administrators who are appointed for their abilities. So people's interaction with the political infrastructure would allow them to get promoted into administration positions, and they would so they move from being a mod or a regular user and just become a be noticed and brought up by the other administrators as the administrators die. And it's not going to be the most democratic system, perhaps, but kind of moves around people. So it'd be individuals who interact more politically would become the ones in charge. Okay, so let's determine where they are. We need a color for them, and they're a cardinal society, so they're going to be all over the place. What color do we want? Go with like Twitch purple or something. That'd be fun. Kind of lavender. Okay. And pencil. No, we need another layer. And there we go. So they get this. This is where their capital is. And how many of these do we get? So they get 20 to 50. So they get a vast area of this. Everything's interconnected. It's all continuous. They control all the stuff. I'm going to actually bring them all the way out here. So some of the systems that you don't see with some of these sectors might not even be habitable sectors. So these are all individual sectors. So each of these sectors is what we're actually going to be playing in one of these sectors. So we might choose this one. Right in between the one that's run, we'll choose the one run by Earth, or maybe we'll choose the one that's run by this group, the Cardinal Power. You need a good name for them.
something kind of internet-y, but in charge of things. So 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, we're getting close to a lot. We can lean our quadrant one direction or the other, which is kind of what I'm doing. Okay. There we go. So we just need a name for them and to figure what their ambition is and what their demographics are. Probably going to go with something homogenous. They're a bit of a federation, kind of a Star Trek-y feel to them. But they're alien. I think we should look. We need a term like synergy. Well, let's look this up on the dictionary. Synergy. Unity? Unison? Oh, let's go with combine. Okay, so we need a first name. So what type of combine is this? It's the something combine. Sure. Okay, so the way I like to do some of these names, I just kind of look up a bunch of random stuff that kind of fits the concept I'm looking for, and then I just put them together and come up with a name. No, not ARPA. Let's go with let's call them the lattice combine. Two T's in lattice. That looks better. Okay, cool. So they're going to be the lattice combine, and we should probably increase the size of that. 10-point bold. Boom. There we go. Lattice combine, and as a I think we'll go with the letter C. Goes well as they are the cardinal power. Okay, so now we have House Trajan, the Oath Alliance, and the Lattice Combine as our key societies. Now, we can create another one if we want. I don't think I'm going to do it right now. I'm going to see how it goes creating these. Oh, still need ambition and demographics. Okay. What do they want? They want stability or something, right? Okay, so I think just hold power, because that is definitely something that could leave. They would call it need stability. So hold power and stability. Okay, and finally their demographics. I think we're probably going with cosmopolitan. But I think I'm gonna go with diverse. I think we're gonna have a species that's probably on the outs. Maybe I'll figure out who started the war and make them up. Put them on the outs. That might be fun. Okay, so here we go. That is the key societies. It's that simple. We're going to probably should put a name setting on here. Just call this TCTC. This is mostly for the GM to have notes. Okay. You're going to want to remember which sheet is which. I have quite a few of these now. And this is it. I'm probably going to put in another group. Probably out over here, maybe reaching this way. They'll probably be the instigators. And I'll put them in another color, and that would be, in this case, like on the back of the sheet kind of idea. Anyways, thanks to everyone who voted, everyone who joined me here, and anybody who's watching this on YouTube or whatever, and thanks for coming. I will be coming back on to finish us up with other stuff. We still have to probably come up with another society, some species, all the factions required, and the crew that you're going to be playing if you come to Terminal City Tabletop Convention on March 24th or 25th. I'll be there running games, running the room with my friend Matthew, and it's gonna be a good time. So if you live in Vancouver or close by, or visiting Vancouver in that weekend, just grab yourself a ticket, come down, play some RPGs. You can sign up for, I think we have like 35 different RPGs now, and we're gonna have drop-in tables and stuff. It's gonna be awesome. Anyways, thanks everybody for coming, and I'll talk to you later.